Making a violin takes about 200 steps. Each requires technical details and precision.
I need over 100 tools and all of them will be used. The curve is critical. Look, it's more flat in the middle. The curvature would change the thickness and brightness of the violin's sound.
Liu Zhijun, a national-level violin maker, meticulously works in his studio in Huangqiao town, East China's Jiangsu province.
I grew up in a rural area. A friend of my father's brought me to a music instrument factory in Suzhou. Later, another friend introduced me to study in the Shanghai Conservatory of Music and officially began my violin-making career.
Which is the most precious violin you've made?
This was my first creation made in 1990. I made it step by step alongside my teacher at the music academy. Although the craftsmanship wasn't very mature at that time, I found it incredibly valuable. Many people wanted to buy it, but I couldn't part with it.
Liu's journey to Huangqiao was a fate strung in melody. This town, with some 200,000 population, is one of the biggest violin production hubs in the world. As an instrument originating in the West, the mass production of violins has undergone several major industrial relocations. Moving from Germany in the late 19th to early 20th century to Japan and South Korea, it then spread to China in cities like Shanghai and Guangzhou before arriving in Huangqiao town in the 1960s and 70s. In the 1960s, Huangqiao manufactured violin components. In 1972, the first violin entirely produced in Huangqiao was born. In 1985, the local branch of Shanghai Violin Factory was founded here. In the 1990s, Huangqiao violins began to tap into overseas markets. Hence, the town saw the founding of several instrument factories, allowing some 30,000 farmers to leave the fields and become workers. And that was when Liu Zhijun was hired as a technical consultant at a local violin factory.
When I first arrived at Huangqiao, the factory technology was outdated, and my high standards were hard for the workers to accept. Today, the factories are thriving with skilled technicians. A key factor in this improvement is that many have sought external knowledge, bringing in academically trained violin makers. That has elevated mid to high-end production and rapidly advanced manufacturing technology.
Since China's entry into the WTO in 2001, Huangqiao's violins have evolved into a full-fledged industry. Today, about 70% of China's and more than 30% of the world's violins come from here. Fenglin Musical Instruments is one of the world's largest violin producers. Some of its products were endorsed by China's best violinists.
Currently, 65% of our products are exported. In the past, 99% of our products were OEMs with private labels. Now, our own brands account for 35% to 40%. Due to the challenging external environment, our revenue has come down. Prior to 2022, we were generating sales of 250 to 260 million yuan.
So growth like this resulted in the creation of more than 200 component and supporting businesses along the supply chain. And that transforms the entire Huangqiao town into a large-scale assembling line. So this is the main road right outside the old Fenglin factory. If you walk down this road, you can see many self-building houses. They might look quite unassuming from the outside, but behind the doors are many violin workshops. And that's the case in this area, around 2 to 3 square kilometers.
In contrast to mass production factories, Liu Zhijun crafts only 10 to 20 violins each year. In 2001, after a decade as technical supervisor, he ventured out to start his own business, establishing one of the earliest violin-making studios in Huangqiao. His goal was to create performance violins using traditional handcrafted methods, selling them for several thousand to tens of thousands of yuan. Today, there are dozens of independent studios in the area that specialized in handcrafted methods, creating higher-end violins. These studios enhance Huangqiao's violin industry portfolio, while also benefiting from the town's growing reputation as a global hub for violin production. which boosts their credibility and sales opportunities. But like any business starter, the beginning was particularly hard. Luckily, Liu Zhijing had some dependable help.
He
has too much work on his hand. I learned from him and helped share some of the workload.
You really feel for a husband.
Yes, yes.
When we first started our business together, she worked so hard that she injured her wrist. She was just putting in too much effort at that time.
What are your hopes for the next generation?
When I was learning to make violins in Shanghai, we could watch performances of international orchestras. Seeing those violinists with such artistic flair made me want my child to be like them.
Liu Zhijing's hopes were not only realized but exceeded. His son, Liu Lan, born in 1993, not only learned to play the violin, but also chose to join his father on the challenging journey of handcrafting violins.
Of course, my father had a significant influence on me. I've watched him work all the time, which sparked my interest. Learning it was quite contradictory. There were many data points that needed to be standardized. However, after making something and receiving positive feedback from professional teachers, it felt really rewarding.
Liu Lan started live streaming sales from the workshop 2 to 3 years ago. In a live streaming room on social media Douyin, he would perform, chat with fans, and post videos. He said this means more than selling violins.
Anyone can join my live streaming sessions, where I've connected with many violin teachers and parents. Their feedback has been invaluable. For instance, teachers have shared what students want in strings. This helps me identify issues and make improvements. It's been a rewarding experience.
The arrival of the digital era not only provides second-generation Huangqiao luthiers like Liu Lan to explore new market opportunities, but also helps to address the problem of labor shortage in local instrument factories. After all, violin making is a labor-intensive task and often does not attract young people. But this is where technological innovation comes into play.
This intelligent production line manages the spray painting process for most violins crafted in Huangqiao. Built in 2023, it features centralized wastewater and emission management. The Green Island Intelligent and Eco-Friendly Instrument Surface Treatment Center represents a tens of millions of yuan investment from the local government.
By introducing Omega's spray painting system, we have significantly reduced labor painting and waste costs. At the same time, while increasing production capacity, we've improved the treatment of wastewater, waste gas, and waste residue, gradually achieving compliance with pollutant discharge standards. Previously, our production capacity was 3,000 units per month, but now with the fully automated spraying system, we have reached 30,000 units per month.
Huangqiao town aspires to become the Cremona of the East, inspired by the Italian city, famous for exceptional violin making and highly skilled luthiers. To achieve this, both technological advancement and the preservation of tradition are equally essential. And one cherished tradition in Liu's family is hosting small family concerts from time to time. Liu Lan's older son, now in 3rd grade, has learned playing the violin for 2 years, and his younger brother is displaying a budding sense of rhythm and musicality. Liu Lang hopes that one day the boys would also develop some luthier skills. What we also endure is the bond between a Western musical instrument and the Chinese town, with tales of hard-working souls, where the heart of family and the magic of music comes to life.